parents, do you hold back from your implementation of this and in so doing relieve the worry and distress among a particular portion of our population that's severely disadvantaged? Or are you going to press ahead with it anyway on the basis that you need the money and you have no choice?
Senator van Turnhout.
Thank you very much. I wish to second the amendment number 2 to section 1. Minister, I do acknowledge that our country has serious financial difficulties, and I've voted here in the House for the household charge with a heavy heart for the septic tanks. But on this one, it just really is, for me, far too much. I do realise that difficult decisions need to be taken, cuts need to be made, but however, these cuts are made and against whom are ultimately political decisions. And in Ireland, we believe we value children and childhood, but unfortunately the evidence really doesn't suggest this. In my earlier statement, Minister, I acknowledge the great strides that this government is making in the interest of children's rights of welfare and protection. But if we truly want to make Ireland one of the best countries in the world to be a child, we must apply holistic and joined-up thinking. We must child-proof our legislation and our policy decisions. Minister, as a starting position, I oppose Section 4 of the bill. And when we come to Section 4, I'll elaborate strongly on why I feel this. But if we look at the amendment that is before us here to Section 1 of the bill, Amendment number 2, I believe it's a good compromise. I believe it's a fair compromise. I wouldn't be delighted leaving here, but I'd accept. I feel this for me is part of our role, is to find a good compromise. In the past, and the reason I think it has to be delayed is if you look at our provision of childcare in Ireland. In the past, Minister, we had a model that we provided childcare based on the status of the parent. It was purely a measure to get women back into the working place. So we provided childcare because we needed to get those mothers working. That was the basis for childcare. Very rarely was the child ever mentioned. We then, with the introduction of the free preschool year, very quickly and dramatically, the focus actually moved to quality childcare provision. It focused on the child, and rightly so on the child. And my fear is that by doing this measure, we'll actually put the focus back again, and let's forget about the child. Minister, I am chair of Early Childhood Ireland, who represent 80% of the preschool, daycare, parent and toddler and after-school services in Ireland. So I do know a little bit about the provision of childcare in Ireland. They today, for example, have called for an additional $5 million just to deal with the baby boom. So we have an increasing number of children who will be going into the free preschool year. The Minister for Children has set her political priority as providing a second year of preschool education. That will go out the window with this. So, Minister, there's also been a capital fund was produced last month of $6 million for the childcare sector for capital grants. They have received applications of over 60 million for the $6 million worth of capital grants, which for me is indicative of the need for building improvements in the sector. And that's just dealing with the children who are in the system now. This isn't about the additional children. This is about the children who are there now. So I believe that the amendment that is being put forward here today is, yeah, it's about buying time. But we have to buy time. We can't, where is this childcare provision going to come from? I'd love to have a Scandinavian model. It took them over 10 years to get that. They had to do a lot of other measures. It didn't happen overnight. We're asking for a few years. So I believe this amendment would allow time for the necessary supports to be put in place, as committed by you, Minister. And I don't question your vision. But there is a difference between legislation and word. And we are talking about putting this into legislation today. And while I take you on your word, I also a realist. I know there can be cabinet reshuffles. I know other factors can happen. We can be told we did our best, but it just didn't happen. But that has a direct impact on children. So I really do question, Minister, why such haste? Why not accept the compromise that's being put forward here? For me, it actually supports everything that you have said. It will give that time that is necessary. And so I would ask you, Minister, to accept the amendment being put forward by Senator Scone and my colleagues.
Senator O'Brien.
Firstly, can I